guys, what's up? Scottish Duck here, once again. Right, I'm doing this, okay? I think I was like streaming the other week there and one person asked me, Duck, you should redo your collection videos, and I was just like, yeah, sure. Actually, I took to Twitter and asked you guys, it's like, should I redo my collection videos? Do you guys want to see me ramble for like an hour plus talking about a specific console's library games that I happen to own? And I don't know why I'm always surprised whenever I get like really positive feedback from a question like that, but suffice to say, it really put me in the mood for this, so yeah. I feel like it's probably a good idea as a collector to sort of like redo these videos every few years or something, you know, because obviously I've been doing collection updates for a long time, and I will continue to do them, but just so you got like a good idea of what I've got now in a certain game's collection, this is probably what we should do. And if you're wondering why I'm sitting down, it's because I have a lot of fucking games here, and they're all sort of here, and I don't want to be bending down constantly. If you're wondering why I've got the hood up, it's because the way that my light is set up here, I've got just the light coming up down right onto me, and with my head, it looks... Yeah, I don't want all the comments to be about that. So, without further ado, let's get into the games. Now, before we begin, actually, I want to show you guys a couple of things that, if you're going to get into Sega Saturn collecting, right, you need these things, or at least you need this first thing. This right here is an Action Replay Plus, okay? It's a cartridge, it goes into the back of your Sega Saturn, you know, where the memory card would usually go. It can function as a memory card, and can let you do like a whole bunch of cheats, which honestly makes a few games more enjoyable. But more to the point, it allows you to remove the region lock on your Saturn. And if you are into Sega Saturn collecting, you're going to be into Sega Saturn imports, okay? That's kind of a fact, I'm afraid. So, yeah, don't even attempt to do fucking Sega Saturn collecting without one of these. Honest to God, guys, you will not regret it. It's essential. Now, one other thing that I have that's not as essential is this right here. The Sega Saturn Backup Unlocker. Now, all this really is just a cartridge, which, just like the Action Replay, goes into the back of your Sega Saturn, and it allows you to play burned games, okay, which, for some games that received fan translations, that's incredibly helpful, so that's what I do. So, yeah, definitely get the Action Replay before this, but this is still a really nice thing to have, okay. Now, let's get into the games themselves now, shall we? I'll start off with my imports. I have three North American Sega Saturn games here, and they're lovely, like, big plastic cases that take up so much fucking shelf space. Rationale, and I just realised this is not in alphabetical order at all, even though this is kind of where you would start, I suppose. But yeah, Rationale. I had this game for a long time. I had a lot of my Sega Saturn games for a long time without ever really playing them. Like, it was weird. I just, like, liked collecting them, but not playing them. And then one summer came along. It was actually the summer of 2016. I was in this flat, and something just came over me. I'm like, I'm going to play some fucking Sega Saturn games. And this is one of the ones I started off with, and it's probably in, like, my top 3 games. I adore Rationale. I really do. The way I describe it is that it's basically Klonoa for the Sega Saturn. It's got that same level of charm, wonderful music, really just like charming as hell storyline and unique gameplay, and yeah, I really do like it. One thing that, literally the only thing I don't like about this game, because it kills my OCD, is that for whatever reason they forgot to put the fucking title of the game on here. Okay, so it goes on the shelf and you're like, what the fuck is that? It's a blank game, it's fucking Rationale. Why is it not there? Infuriating. Okay, next up we have now, I should probably say as well, like, the Sega Saturn, the reason I'm doing this first is because out of all the consoles that I collect for, this is probably my favourite console to collect for, okay? It's just something about, it's at that level of, like, rarity, and my love for the console itself is high enough that I'm willing to, like, go out and get all of these games you have to pay a fucking arm and a leg for. So I'm very like pleased with my collection for sure. There's always room for improvement, but for now it's like, yeah, I'm digging this. So this was a rare game that I just, as soon as I heard about it, for some reason I picked it up right away, and it was not cheap. Albert Odyssey, Legend of Eldin. This was by Working Designs, who, spoiler alert, you won't see the last of in this video. The fucking foam came out. Yeah, this is just like a 2D RPG. I think it was originally in development for the Super Nintendo, and it kind of shows it's not that graphically impressive, which, you know, whatever. But I don't like it. I actually got really near the end of this game, but it really is just a very generic, like, JRPG for the Super Nintendo. You know, you literally play as some kid who meets certain party members, you've got a turn-based combat system, an overworld, and that's really it. Like, the only thing that really, like, stood out was actually the Working Designs fan translation, which has garnered a lot of, like, love/hate. It's kind of polarizing over the years. I can kind of see why, but, you know, it is what it is, I suppose, but it's a nice thing to have, for sure. So, there we go. Albert Odyssey. Fair enough. And my last American Sega Saturn game. Now, this is probably the game that is my most expensive thing, or at least the most expensive thing I've ever purchased. I'm not going to give you the figure. Magic Knight Re-Earth. A fucking game based off an anime. Yeah, the story behind how Working Designs got the rights to this game and how they like ultimately released it is super fascinating, okay? Look it up yourselves. It's so long and all that, I can't reiterate it here. But this is a pretty decent, like, Zelda clone. I think it's fair to call it sort of Link to the Past Zelda-ish clone, you know? And, yeah, it's totally a gem for the Sega Saturn. And for you collectors out there, I might as well show this. Magic Knight Re-Earth features 3 female characters. It's a magical girl anime. And Working Designs opted to release 3 different versions of the game featuring each of the girls' image on the disc. I have the blonde girl here. I think her name is Fu. Now, based on like the 2 or 3 comments I found on the internet talking about this, Fu is apparently the most common version, which is like super annoying because this is like the 2nd or 3rd most obscure rare game for the Sega Saturn, and I own it, but I own the most common version of it, so it's just like buzzkill, you know? So, Magic Knight Re-Earth, joy. I have a lot of fucking games here. How long is this video already? We're going to be here a while, guys, okay? Right, now I will do my Japanese Saturn collection. Now, like I said before, the collecting for the Sega Saturn, you pretty much need to import from Japan, because there's just like, a lot of the games are so much cheaper, and there was a lot of games that didn't come out over here that did come out in Japan. It's just what you do, okay? So, with that said, let's go. The first 2 games I got here are 2 games in the same series. We got Puyo Puyo 2 and got Puyo Puyo Sun, or Puyo Puyo Sun, depending on how you want to say it. I really like Puyo Puyo, and I really like these 2 games. This one is going to be coming out on the Switch pretty soon. And this one, I actually think I prefer this one. I like the sort of like cutscenes in between levels and shit, even though I can't understand it because it's all in Japanese. And there's like a new mechanic with this one that I don't think Puyo Puyo has returned to since, where you've got like these sun blobs that you can explode when you're playing. But yeah, this is definitely a big favourite of mine, this one. Not to say this one's like no slouch either, I really love them both. But yeah, Puyo Puyo, kind of like a staple of the Saturn. Well, a lot of consoles really, but yeah, Puyo Puyo, Puyo Puyo. Right, now this was one that I had to own. This is the Phantasy Star, just Phantasy Star collection. And this was basically Sonic Jam for Japan, but with Phantasy Star. The first 4 games are included, and I'm not going to unbox this today, can't be ours, I'm going to be here long enough as it is. It has like a shit ton of extras, like the Japanese adverts can be watched on here. Of course, the games can be played, and yeah, I can't understand it because it's all in Japanese, but there was no way I was going to pass this up because I'm a big fan of the old school Phantasy Star series. At least 1, 2, and 4, not so much 3. But anyway, Phantasy Star. Grandia. Now, we actually did get this game, but it was on the PlayStation, but the game was originally a Sega Saturn exclusive in Japan, and thus, that version's kind of considered the better version. I wouldn't know because I can't play this version because it's all in Japanese. I'm kind of hoping one day that a fan translation for this version comes out. It's probably not going to happen because why would you when you've got like the fucking PlayStation version officially localized? But man can dream. Grandia, that's a really good RPG. I played a lot of it on the PS1, but I never actually beat it, and I would love to go back to it on the Saturn and beat it there. So I'm holding out hope. Right. Now, I was talking there about... Let me just skip ahead here, sorry. I was talking about hoping that a translation comes out, and that applies to this game right here, Police Knots. This is the Hideo Kojima game, which is sort of the spiritual successor to Snatcher. It's a special edition from Japan for the Sega Saturn. Considered the best version of Police Knots, from what I've heard. There's a fan translation out there for the PS1 that's been out for ages, but a group of fans opted to do a fully new fan translation for this version, which is a bit odd, but at the same time, I'll fucking take it. I mean, I played through it, I enjoyed it to hell. Wonderful visual novel sort of game, honestly. So, yeah. Fan translations for, like, the Sega Saturn, I love them. You know, like, I need more of them. I really do. Next up, we have, I got Virtua Fighter Megamix here. This was like the original Virtua Fighter, but they remade it because the original version for the Saturn was a bit rushed and a bit shite, so they're like, okay, let's make it better this time. And the graphics do look a lot better and whatnot. So, yeah, that's the thing. Here we have Princess Crown. This is like a predecessor to the Vanillaware games, okay? And just by playing it, you can tell, okay, this has Vanillaware all over it. It's a sort of like wonderfully drawn 2D game that's a sort of hack and slash RPG in the same vein as like Odin Sphere and whatnot. And this game does have a fan translation, but it's text only. And again, I'm waiting for like a proper fan translation for this one because I really want to play it. Gotta wait, unfortunately. But yeah, Princess Crown, really glad to have that one. Okay, this is Capcom Volume... What's the full proper fucking name for this? Capcom Generation 4. I picked this up very randomly at like Game Expo in Glasgow. And I kind of just put it in the pile of like import Sega Saturn games because there was just so many of them. Oh, I'll take that as well, you know. And this one was actually really expensive because I went back and looked at my friggin' like receipts, like, what the fuck, how did I pay so much for all these? They were cheap as chips. Then I found out it was this one that was like racking up the price, so I was like, oh, okay. But it's basically got like a bunch of old Capcom arcade games on here. Sadly, nothing that I'm too fussed about playing really, but I got it anyway, so yeah. It's probably not even worth that much unless you have all 5, because I know there's like 4 other ones. Maybe one day. Okay. Next up, let me just show these together. I have Sakura Wars 1 and Sakura Wars 2. Again, 2 games, heavy on the text. I can't fucking play them. But these games are really cheap, you know? And like, I have like 3 and 4 for the Dreamcast as well. It's like, why the fuck wouldn't you buy them? They're like a $5 each or something. It's incredible. I know that these games were super popular in Japan. That's probably why. There were just so many copies of them everywhere. But yeah, it's nice to have these anyway, because this is definitely like a very beloved series from Sega that we never got over here. Well, we did eventually, but that's another story. But Sakura Wars 1 and 2. Enjoy. I got a loose copy of a Virtual Copier. In fact, hold on, I should probably show this. Let's grab it. Oh. Here we go. I actually have the gun for Virtua Cop, and I got this along with it. So yeah, that's a nice thing to have. You know, there's not too many light gun games on the Saturn, or at least not ones that I know of, but it's still really cool to have that. Right, down to the last couple of Japanese imports here. Definitely an essential, but a fairly pricey one, sadly. Radiant Silver Gun. I love this game to death. You know, I got super into it. I was trying to like beat it on all the different difficulty settings and unlock all the settings that you can get, because the more you play it, the more like different options that you unlock and shit. And that was just like so much fun. And yeah, Radiant Silvergun, man, really good game. It's been re-released a bunch of times, so it's not exactly like difficult to find and play and whatnot. But yeah, Radiant Silvergun. And what's this last game? I just happen to have this, Lunar 2. I have the English version of Lunar for the PlayStation, but I just happen to have this, and I don't have too much to say about it. Lunar 2 is a good game on PlayStation, but this is the Japanese Saturn game, so enjoy. Okay, now that we've done the Japanese, like, we're not even like a third of the way through this video. Holy shit. Now that we've done the American and Japanese games, we can get rid of the fucking glare that's been, like, contaminating them with this camera. And now we're on to the PAL cases, which I think overall are better cases. But, yeah, let's just get on with this, shall we? This is going to take a while. Okay, first game here. I don't remember picking this up. What the fuck is this? Yeah, it's Panzer Saga. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah, I always tell this story whenever I talk about this game, but when I first got my current job and I got my very first paycheck, the very first thing I bought, I went on eBay. I was living with my folks. I could just like blow the money really if I wasn't mindful of saving, but I just thought, I'm getting a copy of Panzer Dragoon Saga. It was just a dream of mine to have this at the time, you know, and to finally have it, it was like brilliant. And it took me ages to fucking get around to actually playing it, you know? Like, I was talking about that summer of 2016 where I just played shitloads of Sega Saturn games. This was amongst them, and after playing it, I was just like, holy shit, why did I wait so long? This is, like, definitely, like, deserving of the best game on the Saturn. Okay, it really is. Wonderful RPG. If they do another Panzer Dragoon game that's not, like, the remakes coming out, I want them to take more inspiration from this game than the sort of, like, rail shooter stuff. Not that the rail shooter stuff is, like, bad, but yeah, amazing RPG. It's so horrible that it's that expensive and that hard to like get your hands on and play. But them's the breaks, sadly. Sucks, but there you go. Okay, next up I have Dragon Force. Now, I've not actually played this, I must admit. This was a game that was translated by Working Designs, and their translation actually made their way over to Europe, which almost never happens. But yeah, it's always considered a very complicated sort of like strategy game or whatever, and I've always like watched gameplay, or I've always sat through like the first 10 minutes and I'm like, yeah, I think my mum's calling me, you know, it's like, I don't have time for this, but one day I'll sit down with it and see if I can get into it proper, alright, because it is one of the, considered one of the better games out there. So, Dragon Force. Fuck, I really want to be careful when stacking these things. I don't want them to fall over. Next I have House of the Dead. This is the only console version of the game. Actually, it might have came out in PC. Did this come out in PC? But only like Sega console version of the game that was to come out. And it's a little bit compromised. It doesn't run nearly as well as the arcade version, which is to be expected, but you expect it to run like a bit close to the arcade. You constantly have to wait for it to load, and the frame rate's really bad. But it's still House of the Dead, you know? Still one of my like series that I hold near and dear to my heart. So, yeah, I'm not going to whack it too much. It's good shit. Nice. Fuck, I'm digging my back in with this. I may have to reconsider how I'm doing this. We have a Manx TT Superbike. I got absolutely nothing to say about it. It's a fucking like arcade motorbike racing game. You have like 2 tracks, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Enjoy. Alright, here's one of my big favourites. Sega Rally. This was like the very first game that I got for the Sega Saturn. And it was the only game that my dad ever played with me, you know, because he was into like all the racing games and stuff. But yeah, it's just an absolute classic. Really, really, really fun arcade racer. Super nostalgic. I already said that. Next game. I need like a bailout button when I'm rambling too much here. Probably the second best. In fact, hold on. Where is it? If I'm going to talk about this game, I should really pick up another game. Oh my god, it's all the way at the bottom of this pile. Fuck. Okay. Here is Daytona USA for the Sega Saturn. This was one of the launch games, or at least like close to launch game, because it was such an arcade classic at the time. But this version is not considered to be that good because it was really rushed and doesn't look very nice. So they re-released it as Daytona USA the Championship Edition that looked a lot nicer, added 2-player mode, and came with a lot of like really nice extras at the expense of how the game played. The controls in this one, nowhere near as good. I don't know what happened. So apparently thinks I actually prefer this one to this one. So yeah, it's weird, but again, yeah, Daytona, it's really, really fun, like, racing game. Not as good as, like, I think I like Outrun more, but this, as far as, like, those sort of arcade racers from Sega, this is probably, like, second for me, so, yay. Next up we have Virtua Fighter 2, and it's just here as well, so I might as well talk about it. Virtua Fighter Classic, I already talked about the remix version. This is the version that the remix version was supposed to replace, because it isn't very good. Virtua Fighter 2, it's the most common game on the Saturn, so there's not really much... It's not really something you brag about owning, you know. If you've got a Sega Saturn, chances are you have this fucking game, so... Yeah, and in fact... Oh, they're all next to each other. See, it's like I planned it, didn't I? There was a bunch of other like 3D fighting games for the Saturn that were all sort of like made by the same team at Sega. That I guess that was just like their thing to do, but none of them really like topped what Virtua Fighter could do. Probably the second most popular of which was Fightin' Vipers, which was like another 3D fighting game, but it was like within a cage, and your characters all had like armor that you could like break off and do more damage and whatnot. So it was kind of unique in that sense. So yeah, it's good. I've played it for a wee bit, and they took Virtua Fighter and Fightin' Vipers and kind of combined the two to make Fighters Megamix. Now, I've never actually popped this in. I don't think. I think I maybe got past the title screen, but I've yet to properly sit down and give this one a proper try, which I'm quite ashamed of because this is really a big favourite among Sega Saturn enthusiasts. So. Maybe one day. But my favourite 3D fighting game for the Saturn is one that nobody talks about, and it's so annoying. Last Bronx. Like, you'd think they would have put Last Bronx characters in this one and made it like a 3-way sort of like crossover thing, but no, Last Bronx got the boot. This is basically like a weapons-based 3D fighter that they made, and it's really good. I love the set and I love the characters. Fighting system is just like more fun to me, I guess. And yeah, best fighting game on the Saturn, in my opinion. Okay, next up we have... see, I get the feeling I shouldn't talk about games unless I have the series up, if you know what I mean. Let's talk about this. Another rare one for you guys. Saturn Bomberman. The best Bomberman game there is. I think that's what I believe anyway. Yeah, it's just like, I'm not the biggest Bomberman guy. I had Super Bomberman for the SNES when I was younger, and I really liked that game. But this one just has like so much to it, you know? Like, it has a really like awesome adventure mode where you're going through levels and, you know, with animated cutscenes and shit. That's a lot of fun. It also has like a sort of like gauntlet tower mode that you can like start from the beginning where Bomberman dresses up like Goku. Seriously, and it's hilarious. I love that. But probably the thing that is most famous about Saturn Bomberman is the fact that you can play with up to 10 people, you know. If you have 10 Sega Saturn controllers and you have a specified multi-tap for it, you can do 10-player Saturn Bomberman. So, yeah, that's a thing that people always remember. But yeah, wonderful game. Absolutely brilliant. Best Bomberman game. Gonna stick by that. Okay, now again, we'll wait till we're talking about the series. Okay, let's talk about some shit, shall we? Hexen. I don't know anything about this game other than the fact that a lot of people hate it. What's this? International Victory Goal. And here we have a Alien Trilogy. This copy is completely fucked up. I think I actually did try to play this a little bit. I didn't get that into it, but so I don't want to completely disregard it or whatever. But there's better first-person shooters on the Sega Saturn, as we will get to. Okay. All right. Now this is a real gem right here, guys. This one's not to brag or whatever, but this one's worth a fair bit. Deep Fear. This game is the very last game that Sega of Europe released for the Sega Saturn. And it was not released in America, only in Europe and Japan. So as a result, this PAL version, which is completely translated in English, obviously, is pretty fucking in pretty high demand, you know? And, yeah, I actually heard about this game the night I bought it, and it was just like, you know, as happy as I am to own this game, I just think back to myself, why was I so impulsive to own it? Why did it, like, something just overcame me? It's like, Donald, there's a really rare Sega Saturn game, a survival horror game, you need that, and I like, bought it, and I was like, why the fuck did I do that? But it was still nice to have, for sure. It's a really good game as well, you know, it's a total Resident Evil knockoff, and has arguably worse voice acting, so it's worth checking out for that. So, yes, oh, wait a minute, I've left something out. We'll save it for last. Or will I forget? I'll forget about it. Be right back. I keep it up here. That's why I forgot about it. My all-time favourite Sega Saturn game, which I should have kept for last, is Knight's Journey of Dreams. What a fucking surprise. This is the, like, edition that came with the 3D controller. It's all still in here. I also have a copy of Christmas Nights. And here, I'm not going to bother to open it up there, so I have Nights and Christmas Nights in here, and yeah, my favourite Sega Saturn game, but I've talked about it so much, what's the fucking point? You all know I love it. So, there. Right. So, with that said, that was obviously developed by Sonic Team. You know what else Sonic Team did that's really good? Burning Rangers. Now, I actually think, I feel like this is probably a sort of like a love it or hate it sort of game amongst most Saturn fans. You know, some, and I can sort of see why people wouldn't like it. It is fairly short. The gameplay is kind of like an acquired taste, but I love it. You know, I totally love the style of it. It feels very like good Sonic Team-esque, if I can call it like that. And yeah, the characters, the music. It's all just really, really good to me, and yeah, Burning Rangers. Fucking amazing. Next up I have this. I have the original Resident Evil for the Saturn. Now, I don't know what, like, I don't know the exact differences, but this apparently has more content than the original PlayStation release. Maybe not, like, more content than the Director's Cut version of the PlayStation release. I don't know, I need to look into that more. I do want to give it a playthrough on the Saturn. I've just not gotten around to that yet, but yeah, there you go. Resident Evil for the Saturn. Next up we have Shinobi X, i.e. a Shinobi game. It's 2D, but probably the most notable thing about it is that it uses pretty dated-looking digitized characters, a la Mortal Kombat, and it has really fucking unageable FMV videos in between fucking levels with Japanese actors that really overact, and it's fucking hilarious, and it's worth playing just for that. I've never actually beaten this one. It gets really hard near the end. There's this minecart level, and I just can never beat it, which is annoying, but yeah, this is definitely a good game. Shinobi X. Good shit. Right, now, we were talking about first-person shooters earlier. Here is definitely a good one. Exhumed. Now, funny story, I bought this game for like £2 out at Game Station, back when Game Station was a thing. And I kind of just wanted it because it was an affordable Sega Saturn game, you know. I kind of looked at it and knew right away, I'm not going to like this. And I think I popped it in for a bit, and sure enough I was like, yeah, this doesn't really play that well. It wasn't until Digital Foundry did their video on this. They did a DF Retro special on this game, and they like really praised the hell out of it. And I'm like, wait, what? This game was good? Not only was it good, it was actually considered a technical achievement for the Sega Saturn at the time. So I thought to myself, oh, maybe I'll give that a go. And I've played this game all the way to the end, and oh man, I feel bad. I feel bad for doubting it so much. You know, it is really good. Definitely worth a playthrough. And the fact that it's actually considered even better than the PC version. That's the weird thing about it. This version of the game, there was like a PlayStation version as well, which wasn't as good. Gotta play Exhumed on the Saturn. So yeah, Exhumed, awesome. Speaking of which, there was also this. We got Duke Nukem 3D, which I think was made by like the same people as Exhumed. I don't know if that's like for certain, but I've not played this version on the Saturn, to be fair. I think I popped it in a little bit, but I've not properly played through it. So maybe one day I'll get round to it. Some of these are hard to open. But yeah, I have it anyway, Duke Nukem 3D for the Saturn. Goody goody. I also have Tomb Raider. I love hearing the fact that this was originally a Sega Saturn exclusive. It wasn't until they were like, fuck it, let's port it to PlayStation, and then that's where it became a mega hit. It's so funny because Core, who made this game, made so many random Mega Drive, Mega CD games before they actually got around to Tomb Raider. And it's like they only really became that sort of like household name, at least at the time, after they parted ways from Sega and released it on the PlayStation. I always thought that was funny, but yeah, there you go, Tomb Raider for the Saturn. Okay, Virtual-On, kind of a unique fighting game. Yeah, it's a fighting game, but you play as mechs and fuck, this is a hard game to describe. I think the most notable thing about Virtual-On is that when it was like in the arcades, you actually controlled it via two like pilot sticks, and you would move them in certain ways to get your mech to do certain things. You can actually play this game today, a HD version, in Yakuza Kiwami 2 for the PlayStation 4. You can go to arcades and play Virtual-On there, which is mental, you know. But there's also this Sega Saturn version, so joy. I don't know if I like this one, to be honest. It's just really hard to like get into, and like I feel like I'm playing it wrong every time I play it, basically. But yeah, whatever. It's Virtual-On. Oh boy. Bug. I don't like Bug. I think this game is so shit. Okay? Like, the music that plays in the first level is like grating to the ears, and I don't say that a lot. Like, usually if I don't like music, I'm just like, well, is the game good? You know, like, it's very rarely that music actually makes me think so much less of a game. And it's just like not fun to play either. You've got a sort of pseudo 3D platforming thing going on, and I don't like it. I really don't like Bug. You know, there's a sequel out there. I don't own it. I don't really want to. So yeah. Okay. Next up, we were already talking about Panzer Dragoon Saga, but I also have the other Panzer Dragoons here. This one's a bit better, Panzer Dragoon 2, but this one is definitely a classic. You know. You really want to pick up and play both of them. They play more or less the same. There's a few other like neat little mechanics in this one though. But yeah, it's some really good like rail shooter action. You know, wonderful setting and style. Yeah, Panzer Dragoon. I got nothing. Right. Oh my god, I have so many games still to go. How long is this video? Holy shit. Right. Now, quite famously, Sonic, he didn't have a big game on the Saturn, or did he? He had Sonic 3D Blast, which is out of its fucking CD case. Oh god, CD inlay thing. Some Saturn games are really bad at keeping those in. I don't really like this version that much. I prefer the Mega Drive one. So, yeah. Then there's Sonic R. I love this game. I am 100% unapologetic about it. It's one of my favourite games on the Saturn. I really, really, really like it. It's just... it's nostalgia. I will admit that, but I don't care. I love it. Love it to death. Then there's like definitely, probably my second favourite Saturn game, to be honest, Sonic Jam, which I know is a mega cop-out to put it that high, because it's just a compilation of the Mega Drive Sonics, but those like versions are really good for starters, plus it also has a fully 3D world that you can explore in, and while it's just one level, and it's mainly just like there as a hub to look at like Sonic museums, pretty much like history up until that point, because at this point he was like 5-6 years old, you know? But there are like little missions that you can do, and I don't know, I like doing that. It's like, it really just makes you think, man, if Sonic could have been on the Saturn, you know, this is what we would have got. I don't know, it's like, it's not a bitter feeling though, okay? I really love this game, and I'm really glad that it exists, and yeah, love it. Next I have Street Fighter Alpha 2. I'm going to try and maybe bash through most of these. Never played it. It's a Street Fighter game. I heard that this version on the Saturn was really good, so I thought I'd give it a try. Still need to pop it in. Baku Baku. This is like a really weird puzzle game where you lay down like fruit and you line them up, and then an animal's head will come down and eat the fruit, but you have to match it up properly. Like rabbits will eat the carrots, but monkeys will eat the bananas, etc. And yeah, it's just like really weird. I mean, look at that fucking cover, you know? Holy shit. Okay. Wipeout 2097. It's alright. Blam Machine Head. I don't think I've ever played this. No, I don't think I have. No idea what it is. Actua Golf. Not actual golf. Actua Golf. Okay. Loaded. A bit of a game from my childhood, actually. It's sort of a top-down shooter thing, slash... not really Metroidvania, but you're going through a lot of different rooms, and pretty, like, crazy art style and, like, characters and stuff. It's a fair bit of nostalgia with this one, but yeah, it's... I couldn't actually tell you if it was that good or not, if I'm honest. Firestorm Thunderhawk 2... yeah. Okay. Right. Oh god, we're getting back into games that I actually want to talk about. Right. Here we have a Story of Thor 2. I think in America, what is it? The Mega Drive game is called Beyond Oasis in America. This one is... fuck, Ever Oasis? Oh fuck, I can't even remember what it's called in America, but it's called Story of Thor 2 here. Never played this one. It's one that's in my backlog. I don't actually like the first game that much for the Mega Drive. I tried playing that one in preparation to go on to this. It didn't really speak to me, so I don't know if I should maybe just like go on to this, because I know this one's a prequel, so I don't have to play the first one. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Right. Dark Savior. Now, this is like a sort of sequel to Landstalker for the Mega Drive, and that is a game I really like, and it pains me to say it, but I can't get into this one, okay? It's definitely, when you hear people talk about it, it's definitely a sort of like love it or hate it sort of game, and I really want to love it, obviously, but I don't. There's just like so much weird shit going on with it, and it's like not that fun to control. I really like the setting, and like the writing is it reminds me of Earthbound of all games, to be honest. But yeah, fucking Dark Savior. I wish I could dig it more, but I don't. So, right, we gotta. I'll put that to the side. Get ready to talk about it. Okay, this is a weird one, guys. Right, Toriko. Now, this is basically an FMV game, point-and-click adventure game. Kind of in the same vein as another game that I'll probably talk about next, actually. It was actually translated by... hold on, I want to make sure I get this right, because Atlas had a hand in this somehow. I think maybe they published it in America or something, but obviously it made its way over here as well, and yeah, it's just like... I don't know if I loved it or anything, but I did get to the end. It's such a bizarre setting, you know, like, and really dark, and And yeah, it's such a weird game, but kind of cool. I'm glad I played it for sure. But yeah, Toriko, it's like, give it a go. Give it a go. Okay, now, talking about these FMV horror games, okay, there's a couple of games that I definitely need to talk about. And they're kind of part of the same series. We got D, and we got Enemy Zero. D is, like, I just described fucking Toriko there. It's really the same thing. It's an FMV game. There's more, like, weird aspects to it for sure, but yeah, it's actually kind of weird that both games are on the same console because they're just so similar, these FMV adventure games. But this one I think is definitely the better game. Okay, I enjoyed this one more. It's like, because the series that it comes from is just a big favorite of mine. So yeah, that's D. Now this, however, Enemy Zero, I want you to think of like Alien Isolation for the Sega Saturn, except that the alien is invisible. Okay. I love this game so much. It's like, again, another like top 5 game for me, you know? The only reason I bought this game is because Fumito Ueda, the guy that does Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Last Guardian, and all that, he animated a few of these cutscenes, and that's like his only credit for this game. And that was enough for me to be like, oh, I'll own that then. And this was another one that took me such a long time to get through, and I'm just like, why do I leave so many good games unplayed for so long? So, yeah, Enemy Zero, excellent game. Highly, highly recommend it. Next, I have Sega Ages. We're actually just getting like Sega Ages for the Switch in this country, outside Japan, I should say, for the first time in years. But Sega Ages has been something that Sega has put out for pretty much in all their entirety, you know, to like re-release their older games and whatnot. And this is Sega Ages Volume 1, we never got Volume 2, and it has Afterburner, Outrun, and Space Harrier on it. Decent collection, for sure, you know, really good ports of the arcade games in question, so yeah, this is a really nice one to have. Okay, another little series here for you. We got Clockwork Knight and Clockwork Knight 2, and it's fell out of its fucking thing again. God damn it. Gotta maintain these Saturn games. These games are alright, you know. They are pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I've played through the first one a couple of times. I don't think I ever... It's upside down. I don't think I actually beat the sequel, to be fair. But yeah, they're good. They're good games, you know. I don't want to, like... I will not hate on it like I do Bug, but I will not praise the shit out of it like I did Astal. They're just pretty good. For fuck's sake. Stay. Right. Off you go. Right. I got another series for you guys, and this is one of the most important series on the Sega Saturn for me. Okay, this is like really good stuff here. Actually, maybe not this one. Shining Wisdom. There was a bunch of Shining games for the Sega Saturn, and this was one of them. And they all transcended different genres, which was really interesting to me. This is a top-down sort of like Zelda clone, and I did not beat it. I kind of got bored with it, which is fucking hell. What is it with these discs? I should really just stop fucking opening it. But yeah, I respect the fact that the team behind the Shining games opted to like experiment with different gameplay styles, but this one just landed a little bit short for me, that's all. However, they made 2 absolute belters with Shining in the Holy Ark and Shining Force 3. Shining Force 3 is obviously the 3rd game in the Shining series. It's a bit bittersweet because, I don't know how many of you will know this, but it was actually made up of 3 games in Japan, and they would release them periodically, and you could transfer your saves between all 3 games. This, however, is only part 1, and it's a complete game, but at the same time, it's just like, fuck, it would have been so nice to have played part 2 and part 3. There are fan-translated versions of them, which I've not gotten round to. I don't know if I've got time to get through them, honestly, because beating this game was a bitch. You know, it's a very big game on its own. Very good game. I think Nah, I think Shining Force 2 is the best. But this comes second, okay? Really love this. And then there is, I don't even know which one of these two I prefer, by the way, Shining in the Holy Ark, which is a first-person dungeon crawler sort of thing. It was made to be more of a successor to Shining in the Darkness for the Mega Drive, which had the same sort of like gameplay. And when I heard like first-person dungeon crawler game, I'm like, there is no way I will like this, because I just think like really old game that's hard as hell with all these obscure items that you need everywhere. And it is. And it's fucking amazing. Play this game, it's wonderful. Oof, love the Shining games. Right, we're down to the last 4. I'm losing my fucking voice. Die Hard Arcade has nothing to do with Die Hard. It's called Dynamite Deca in Japan, and it's a really good, almost like Streets of Rage follow-up, really. Steep Slope Sliders, a big childhood favourite of mine. I love this game. It's snowboarding, if you couldn't tell from the cover. Brilliant music, brilliant levels, love it. Guardian Heroes. I'm actually not too up on this game, if I'm honest. Every time I sit down to play it, I don't know, I come away from it a little unimpressed. I don't dislike it, I definitely don't, but I'm just not like one of those people that puts it like really high on the Sega Saturn games list, you know? So, yeah, it's nice to have. Certainly nice to have. And my last game, holy shit, is Virtua Cop 2. It's the sequel of Virtua Cop 1. Okay, that was my Sega Saturn collection, and I just remembered one thing I told myself was that I would count all of the games and give you a number at the end, and I don't know, I thought this would be a fun little thing, so jump cut! Okay guys, I just put all the games away and I counted them. Feel free to count them as well in case I did it wrong, but I found out that I have 69 Sega Saturn games, and I was just like, oh fuck, please don't make the number that I end this on be 69. And thankfully it's not, because I totally missed this. Magic Carpet. I have no idea what this game is. Peter Molyneux made it. I think he did anyway. And it's the Sega Saturn version. So, 70. 70 Sega Saturn games. Okay. No idea what the next console is going to be. But we're going to do all of them. So, yeah. See you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.